All right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and have you noticed what's going on at the moment? The market has entered extreme fear. Okay, the market has entered extreme fear, and I'm seeing fractals like this. You know, the dot-com bubble versus today. Are we about to repeat what we did back here? And of course, this is where this fractal comes from, the Wall Street cheat sheet. A lot of people seem to think that this is where we are and this is what comes next. And of course, it's a market. Anything can happen, right? But this is not my base case. My base case is that we're probably going to creep up here and just about overcut this high before then we get the deflationary bust. Of course, if we would get into this neighborhood here, everyone is going to become super bullish, except me, who is going to become the biggest bear on YouTube. So again, I keep seeing this as well. This is Black Monday on the left, and this is what we're doing today. Again, everyone seems to think that the only logical thing to do here would be this, right? I don't know why everyone wants this all the time. I don't know why everyone assumes this is coming. But personally, I think it's much more likely that we'll probably do something like this, right? Chop around, maybe undercut that low into the cycle low, and then everyone is going to get wrecked again. Now remember, being bearish has been the wrong trade for 99% of this year, right? 99% of this year, the market just went up in a straight line practically. There was times to be in, there's times to be out, there's times to go fishing as always. But notice how when the S&P 500 is at 4,500, everyone is talking about the roaring 20s, okay? And then we get to 4,200 and suddenly everyone's talking about the Great Depression. It really is hilarious, okay? People just clearly have no idea what is going on. They clearly have no idea how to navigate these markets. But the facts are the facts, okay? The S&P 500 is down 6.5% in September, but everyone is acting like we're down 30% already, okay? The past few days, everyone seems to think that all of these following things are almost certain now. And that is a VIX spike to 40 plus, S&P down to 3K, the 10-year yield to 7%, the Dixie up to 120, and crude oil to 150 plus. And likely none of these things are actually going to happen, okay? Now, I could be wrong. It wouldn't be the first time. But honestly, I just don't see hardly any of this coming to fruition at all. And for every one of these fractals that you see, for everyone that's pointing at this and saying this is what comes next, right? For everyone that's pointing at all these bearish fractals, remember, I've been talking on this channel over and over again about how all the way up, we were going to see people say, no, 2008, no, bull trap, no, another bull trap, no, biggest bull trap of all time. And then when we get to the top, people are going to say, yeah, double top. And they're going to be wrong as well, okay? It's just how it is. And for every one of these bearish fractals, right, why is no one pointing at this? Why does no one want to be positive and say we've got this giant cup and handle formation? These are super bullish and they have a really high % follow-through rate. So I don't know why everyone wants Black Monday to occur. Probably because they think somehow they're going to be able to short the top to the bottom and then buy the absolute granny out of everything down here. But most people aren't going to be able to do that. It'd be way better to just wait for the cycle low to show up and give yourself a high probability setup to enter on. Again, facts are the facts. The S&P 500 just yesterday, for the 4th time ever in history, made 9 lower lows in a row, okay? 9 days consecutively with lower price action. Now, the other 3 times in history that this happened, the market was up 36%, 18%, and 33% 12 months afterwards. So again, statistics, they speak for themselves, right? Being bearish here just doesn't really make sense. And if you've been watching my content over the last few days, I've been showing this more and more data, and everything is pointing to when we get a bad September like the one we've just had, right? But it's nearly over. We're on the 28th, remember. When we get a bad September, usually October, November, December shape up to be pretty good years, especially when the stock market has come out of a bear market like it did at the start of this year, right? We made the lows in October last year, and we went up in a straight line practically ever since. So just because we're starting to get a correction does not necessarily mean that the only logical thing to happen from here is this, right? This is far more likely, and like I keep showing you, this is just another example. Data is on our side. Data is on our side to say, buy the damn dip. Now, that is not financial advice. You definitely shouldn't do anything I tell you to do. But I am going to be showing you how I buy the dip in about 2.5 weeks as we get to those cycle lows. The Merrill Lynch option volatility estimate also is, look at this, it's just a little spike back, still not even into these more recent historical norms. And notice the spacing here, right? We get this little push back up as what? As the S&P 500 finds its cycle lows, and then it rolls over. So this does not speak to a credit event. This does not speak to a meltdown or a C19 type plunge. It does not speak to a Black Monday fractal or a Wall Street cheat sheet chart about to unravel, this spike would be much more severe if that was the case. And it's the same deal for the high yield spreads. As you can see, nothing at all at the hard right edge of this chart remotely akin to this big spike that we saw back here during the meltdown. So I don't know what everyone's getting their knickers in a twist over. There's a time to be in the market. There's a time to be out of the market, right? I was bullish when we got this first breakout, and then we broke down on this blue trend line and I hopped out of the market, okay? That's the way to do it. Now we're sat on the sidelines. We know this cycle low's in focus. This red line, let's delete this. This is probably going to look something a little bit more like this, I reckon. Something like this, and then go. That's probably what it's going to look like. Now, could I be wrong? Yes, certainly. But why am I so confident here? Because we've got a weekly cycle low and a daily cycle low due in around 2.5 weeks time. And that tells me that once we find that cycle low, we should have at least 4 to 6 weeks of upside. There should be more gas left in this goose. And again, I can't really be bearish here when everyone on Twitter is calling for a meltdown. I also can't be bearish when the credit spreads aren't spiking. I can't be bearish when the option volatility estimates are not spiking either. And I can't be bearish when there's a whole heap of data that suggests that we're probably going up, okay? Like historically, we went up. So difficult for me to be bearish right now. But if you've been here before, you should probably be used to me being on the opposite side of the market. So it's not the first time I've been pointing at things and saying everyone seems too bearish. It's way better to look around you and say, is everyone bullish or bearish right now? And where's the first thing I showed you? Look at this, right? Few more days, few more dips to occur, and this is going to be an extreme fear. And what does that usually mean? It usually means it's a great time to buy the dip, right in time for those cycle lows as well. So I think the next month is going to shape up to be a very, very, very profitable month. And I think the end of the year, the last 2 to 3 months of the year, I think are going to be very, very bullish as well. So I'm very, very optimistic. Like I said, kind of out of the market and practically flat. I think I've still got an oil short, which is possibly about to be stopped out, as you can see, but we'll keep pushing it until it's either stopped out or in the profit again. And the FTSE 100 trade, I will either be stopped out of today or cutting this trade completely if it closes a candle below this downward sloping yellow resistance line. And then at that point, I will actually be completely flat. I think I'll still have a Bitcoin long on, and that's practically it, waiting for those cycle lows to show up. So again, I say, I don't think this is a move to be sweating. I think shoot first, ask questions later. We already did that. We did all of this live on the channel. We will continue to do all of this live at the channel. And if you notice all of my red squiggles, they all kind of point, this is the NASDAQ, to a bit more downside, maybe a double bottom, and then up we go. It's the same for the Dow, right? Look at this red squiggle. Yeah, probably going to chop around here and break out, and that's going to be a long from Camel, probably down here. This will be a nice trade, right? It's going to be a really, really nice trade. So I guess the point of today's video is to say, just relax. Everything is going to be okay. So moving on, a little bit of Bitcoin stuff, because the SEC came out and said that it's postponed its decision to approve the ARK ETF until next year in January. So what's weird about this is they actually had weeks and weeks and weeks to make this decision, and they've just made it very, very early. So again, they're probably still trying to slow this pony down, and who can blame them, right? Who wants a bunch of individuals to be able to buy Bitcoin and then profit massively from an ETF pump? We did also have 4 US congressmen push back on the SEC and say that they should really approve this ETF immediately via a firmly worded letter. So who knows, right? I try not to give my energy to this because I really feel like it just exists for Gary Gensler to drain everyone's energy. I see a lot of people that hate this man. I don't have anything nice to say about him, but he doesn't get my energy either, right? And I think that's the most prudent way to be. It's easy to attack people, okay? But you gotta understand how the game is played. They're gonna put these people here to try and slow this thing down. They need to slow this thing down because otherwise it's gonna get out of hand and we're gonna have this huge bubble. At the end of the day, no one can stop the inevitable. Bitcoin price appreciation is inevitable, and a little bit more patience is gonna go a long way. All the while the price keeps staying lower, then we get more opportunities to add to our positions, more cycle low opportunities coming up. And look, more and more people are starting to figure this market out. Right? This is another thing. Someone that's been here a while, someone that's been through a few of these ups and downs of Bitcoin, right? Look at this. The first time in history, we've got an 80-20 split, meaning 80% of the Bitcoin supply is now held with investors who have held for at least 6 months or longer. So as this market matures, people are starting to realize that Bitcoin is the exit, right? You buy the Bitcoin, you lock it down, take true ownership of it, and you sit back and wait to see how the carnage and the chaos unfolds. an 80-20 split is massive as well. Make note of that. People are not going to be giving up their Bitcoin easily for this bull run. And when people don't want to give up their Bitcoin, it means we have to pry it from their hands with much, much, much higher prices. Of course, the higher the price goes, the harder it's going to be to pry it from people, because they're going to realize they were right about the direction of Bitcoin. They were right about choosing to hold on to it and keep it for long term. And the more the price goes up, the more the network becomes adopted, the more people are going to be able to say, maybe I should hold on to this for a little bit longer, right? So it's going to get harder and harder to pry this 80% out of the likes of the long-term holders' hands. Overall, things look pretty bullish to me, okay? They might not feel bullish. The charts might be going down, right? But we've been here before multiple times, haven't we? We've been here before. In here, I had people saying, loser. And then in here, I had even more people saying, loser, calling for all-time highs. And then look what happened, right? We got long again, and people still came out and said, oh, what are you doing? Like, how could you be long here? And then we broke down, and I hopped out of the market, and people were quick to say, told you so, told you so. But now everyone, like I said, is calling for this. And I just don't see it, right? Something needs to break for that to happen. And like I said, we got those cycle lows ahead. So my message today is pretty simple. I got my feet up on my desk. I went for an extra long double length dog walk this morning on the beach. I'm going to do a double session in the gym, and I'm going to chill. I'm completely chilling now until we do something like this. And then once we get into this time frame, which in case you're new here, will be somewhere around the 16th or 17th of October. Same is true of Bitcoin as well, right? Once we get into this sort of time frame for Bitcoin around the 20th or 16th to 20th of October, it's going to be time to add some positions. I'm going to be adding a lot of crypto-related equities like Coinbase and MicroStrategy and Riot. We're going to be adding all those back. We're going to be adding a whole heap of stocks as well. And we'll do that as we always do. And it's time to go again. Now, to be really clear, assuming I'm right about this, right? Assuming that we do rocket out of here, we go to new all-time highs by the end of this year or Q1 of next year. Once we're up in this neighborhood, okay, I become very bearish. But I can't be bearish here when everyone is championing a Black Monday or a Black Swan. Do you notice how many people call for a Black Swan? I feel like I'm rambling now, but it's true. I keep seeing tons and tons of people say Black Swan is imminent. The whole definition of a Black Swan is that nobody sees it coming. It's an unpredictable event that just shows up out of nowhere. Yet for some reason, people think that they have this matrix code cracked and that they can predict the next Black Swan. I mean, this is laughable. Anyway, I'm big chillin', like I said, and I'm going to continue to be big chillin' up until around the 17th, 16th of October. And then I think it's going to be time to pay attention and go ham into the end of the year. I'm looking forward to finishing this year strong. It's been a pretty good year, and I would really like to get underneath one or two more nice squeezes into the end of the year so that I can lock this year down and say I did a fantastic job. So that's it from me. Let me know if you have anything to say. And in the meantime, I'm your boy Camel. Take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.